Hello. Since the 4th Bumiputra Economic Congress recently, many non-Malays have given their opinion regarding that Congress. And understandably, many of them, or almost all of them, have nothing nice to say. It's all negative. And I can understand why they have no positive feedback on the Congress. The first Bumiputra Economic Congress was held in 1965, almost 60 years ago. And 60 years later, we are still talking about the same thing. From the time of my grandfather to the time of my father and until now. And don't forget, I'm also a grandfather now. So we are talking about what, 5 generations? From my grandfather to my grandchildren, we are still talking about the same old thing. What is the interpretation of lunacy? Lunacy, or madness, is doing the same thing over and over again while expecting different results. If for 60 years we have been trying to do the same thing, talking about the same thing over and over again, and it's proven to not work, it's proven to have failed, maybe it's time to look at something else. Forget about this so-called new economic policy or Bumiputra policy, when he has proven over 60 years until now, he has proven to not work or failed. Now, in 1971, the Dasar Ekonomi Baru, or New Economic Policy, was launched, and it was agreed it was going to run for 20 years until 1990. The Chinese, the Indians, the non-Malays supported the new economic policy because they understood and agreed that the Malays have a lot of catching up to do. The Malays are at the bottom of the economic game. At the time of Merdeka, the Malays only owned 1% of the economic wealth. By the time May 13, the Malays are like 2 to 3% of the economic game. So the Malays are very unhappy. And the non-Malays understood that as long as the Malays remain unhappy, then the non-Malays also face the danger of an uprising, like what happened during 13 May 1969. The only way to make this country safe is to allow the Malays to catch up and own some of the wealth of the country. That was agreed in 1970, launched in 1971, but by 1990, the target was that the Malays would have roughly 30% of the economic pie. The Malays had only 3%, far short of the 30%. So it was decided the new economic policy cannot end in 1990. It has to be extended. How many more years? Indefinitely. So from 1990 until now, 24 years, 1990, 2000, 24, 34 years, we have had a never-ending Malay policy. No more 20 years, no more 50 years, it was ongoing. So now the non-Malays are being told to accept that in perpetuity, forever and ever, there's going to be a economic policy or Malay-based policy to allow the Malays to catch up. But the policy has not changed. We're still doing the same old thing. So if 60 years later, the Malays still cannot catch up, what's going to guarantee that another 60 years from now, the Malays will be able to catch up? If you cannot catch up in 60 years, that means you're never going to be able to catch up forever and ever. So this is where we have created an apartheid system. This is according to the non-Malays. They see this as an apartheid system. One race gets special treatment, another race does not get special treatment. And then we talk about perpaduan, racial harmony. We talk about unity government. We talk about all the races coming together as brothers and sisters, working together, okay, for the sake of the country, for the future of the country. But at the same time, we don't give equal treatment to the non-Malays. We have the Bumiputra who got special treatment, the non-Bumiputra who do not get special treatment. So how do you reconcile this? We are all brothers and sisters, kita rakyat Malaysia, we are all one bangsa Malaysia, but at the same time, Malays have a special place in the country which the non-Malays don't have. The government has to decide. Are we going to be a multiracial country, or are we going to be a country where the Malays are given preferential treatment? So this is where the unhappiness of the non-Malays are beginning to be expressed. The non-Malays are beginning now to feel disillusioned with the Pakatan Harapan government. Before this, the non-Malays were very gung-ho of the Pakatan Harapan government. A government now where meritocracy will rule the day. A government where it doesn't matter. You are anak Melayu, anak Iban, anak Kadazan, anak India, anak Cina, you are all my anak. But now, we are saying no. Anak Melayu is the favorite anak bukan Melayu are not the favorite anak. And this is going to create a problem for the government, especially for Anwar Ibrahim, the Prime Minister, when people see his policies, or rather the government's policies, as being inconsistent with what he is trying to tell the non-Malays. Now,
Coming.